Alright, hello everybody, welcome to another First Play on launch day. Guys, I'm looking at my first Steam game that I launched almost 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, back in August of 2017. Actually, it launched back in July of 2017, but then I took it out of early access really quick in August. Now, when I launched this game, guys, it reminds me a whole lot of the game we're going to play here today. A game that just came out today, and it looks like an indie developer with their first launch on Steam as well. Now, when I launched this game back in 2017, it was my first game that I'd ever completed and published onto the Steam platform, or really onto any platform. I was really proud of it, but it was so much inferior to what I have today. I've put out well over 100 updates to this game, especially that first 3 or 4 years after the game launched. And I made it way better than what it was. And hopefully I can give the developer of this new game that just came out today some advice and feedback that will help him make his game better as well. So if we look at rock and roll, guys, it's just so much better now than it was when I first launched it, when I had graphics that weren't nearly as good as this. And I know you might be thinking, hey, this is a good graphics, this is like 90s stuff. Yeah, but if this is 90s graphics, guys, the graphics that I had when I launched it back in July of 2017 would have been graphics from like the 1950s, right? No, but they were really old school. I had a lot of different fonts in the game, a lot of different, different colors, and it was just a mess. And I did make it a lot better. But what I want to go ahead and do is I want to go ahead and show you guys this new game that came out just today, November, well, it came out yesterday, I guess, but I just saw it new on the Steam platform today. It has no reviews right now. And the developer is just asking a couple of dollars for this. Looks like wild, crazy, relentless action might be fun when you look at the trailer, especially for just a couple of bucks. And if we look at the developer and publisher, they are yet another indie and, indie developer and publisher, just like myself and so many others on Steam. So let's go ahead and take a look at this game, guys, for $2. Let's see what we got. And I've already taken a quick look at it, and I had to kind of cringe when I first looked at it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this game together. All right, so let's go ahead and launch the game. So this is what we got when we launched the game. We have some music that doesn't exactly sound like a space shooter. We have a whole bunch of like different colored dots. I guess it's supposed to be space. And you can't use WASD to move the menu options. You have to use the arrow keys, which is definitely something I would suggest to the developer right away. Make it so you can use WASD or the arrow keys to move through your menu. We also have no settings at all, so I can't lower the volume. I can't lower anything. I can look at my stats. I can look at the controls. I can see a single player can use either the arrow keys and space to shoot. If you're playing two players locally on the same computer, the player one would use WASD and space, and the second player would use the arrow keys and the number 0 button to fire. Alright, so if I hit escape to get out of that, we have challenges, we have infinite game, we have stats, so you can go in and see like your highest score, how many asteroids you destroyed overall, how many enemy ships you destroyed, etc. And then we have credits, which shows the credits for the sound effects they got. And then we have exit game, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and go into infinite game. That's going to be a game kind of like, asteroids, I do believe. We go into one player mode, and we cannot, we have to do challenges to unlock the space blast and the cannon, different ships. So we're going to go ahead and hit space. Alright. So then we use the A and D key to rotate, just like rock and roll. And then listen to that sound effect when you thrust. Like, what the hell is that? And then space does fire. Okay. So we can see something right away. When we kill a ship, there's like a gold blob that goes up to the left corner, and I see what the developer's trying to do. He's trying to make it all really fancy, but it's not really working, because when I first saw this, I was like, what the hell is going on? But all those gold things are going up to your score. So we lost one of our lives. I mean, it's a pretty fun little game, a pretty fun little starting game anyway. You do have enemies, etc. that come. Like this guy here. The sound effects don't match the gameplay, especially the background music. Just simply doesn't match what we're doing here. It's too cheery in my opinion. I think it needs to be more kind of like a rock and roll sound or some kind of a pop music sound. Anything besides this, like, I don't know what you would call this kind of music. It's too happy, that's for sure. But then our thrusting sound, like that thrusting sound just is almost irritating, I think. It sounds like a spring being wound up or something. Very, very odd. Okay. So there's also no pause button, so if I hit escape, the game, I can't pause the game. So the only thing I can do is die to end the game to actually pause. Alright, so let's go ahead and lower this volume here, guys. And let's talk about this game, things the developer can do to hopefully make his game... Yeah, I don't even know where this game is in my taskbar. If you look at my taskbar, I can't even find it. I don't even know where it's at, which is kind of weird. So we're just going to go ahead and end the task for the game. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the screenshots here for what needs to happen and my suggestions to this developer. So first and foremost, the thrusting sound needs to sound more like a, you know, what you would expect a space game to sound like when you move through space. Not the, that's not what you expect a spaceship to sound like when it thrusts forward. So that needs to be changed. The music in the background, you can keep this music if you want to, but at least give the player the option to turn the music down or to turn it off. And you have no sound settings, no, you know, no options at all for minimizing the game, making a windowed mode, making a full screen. You have no graphic settings, you have no sound settings at all, which is bad. So you definitely want to give the player options to turn these kind of sound effects off or turn the sound effects down, and definitely be able to turn the music off and on, because just me, that music I found extremely irritating. Even though it is kind of a happy tune or whatever, to me it just doesn't fit the game. And it irritates me to play a game when the sound effects can't be turned off or adjusted, and when they simply don't fit that badly, the game. So I like that the developer is starting this game with kind of a simplistic approach. He's not trying to put in 100 different enemies, like I end up having in my game. He is not, you know, trying to do power-ups or resources or anything like that. He's simply making a space shooter, which he wants to be fun. So when we saw that we were shooting rocks and like gold or whatever was going into our, what we saw, yeah, the gold going up to your score, so that's coins, I guess. So that looks so weird with the coins. I would not have the coins do that. I would simply add these to your score right here, right? But I would simply just have like maybe a +1 or +10 or whatever kind of appear and slowly slow it up. That's what it would do. You know, I would do if it were my game. Instead of having this thing go this way, it just looks really bizarre in my opinion. I like the hearts, which I guess means an extra ship since you don't have any kind of health. These big gold nuggets kind of look out of place in this game. They're bigger than the asteroids. I don't really know what these are, but I don't know. I think they kind of look out of place. They glow a little bit too much. If they're a bigger threat than the asteroids, then that would make sense. But yeah, I don't really understand what all this is about. Also, the background here, rather than having a background like that with a bunch of different colors that's supposed to be space, I would really get rid of all that, do an entirely black background would be better. And then if you want to put in random stars that would just be 1 pixel, that's what I did with my rock and roll and other space games that I've worked on. is I've just made, you know, a sprite or an object or whatever. What I don't know if you're using GameMaker or whatnot, but just simply make a little single 1 pixel be a star, and then randomly place them on the screen, and then maybe make them move slowly as you move your ship, depending on what direction you're moving. Maybe they move like a tenth the speed in the opposite direction, or 1/100th of the speed in the opposite direction, whichever way, whichever direction you're moving your ship. That would look good. But you can definitely make the background look more like space. And and then as far as the game mechanics, I like that you're making the game really quick moving, the rotation speed, the firing. I would definitely advise you to change it so that if you're a single player, that you can use the mouse button, the left mouse button to fire instead of having to hit space. That would be great. I think most players would prefer to use the mouse button to fire. And with that, you also have the option of using right mouse button if you later decide to add like a laser gun or some kind of a super power to your ship. Maybe you could make right mouse button be shielding. For example, if you're right over here and you're surrounded by asteroids, maybe you could hit the right mouse button and shield yourself for a couple of seconds and make it be a risk, so that if you shield yourself for too long, if you hold down that right mouse button for too long, it'll kill you. You'll overheat and you'll get killed or something. I think that would be a good step for you. But there's definitely a lot of things you can do with this game. I like the explosions. The explosions do look really good. But I would keep working on this. Right now, I don't think a lot of people are going to find this worth $1.99. There's a lot of things you could add. You could add more enemies. You could add a lot of different things. Gold that you collect that maybe drops rather than automatically go up to your score. Anyway, excuse my dog, guys. But yeah, there's a lot of things you could do with this game to make it better. I hope that this indie developer takes my video to heart here and does go to work to improve his game, and adds a lot more to it. Definitely change the background. Make there be options so that at least if you're going to keep the music and the sound effects that you have, make it so we can adjust the volume on those. And I would definitely recommend having separate sliders for both the music and the sound effects, so we can adjust those to our preference on each one. So there's a lot you can do to this game. This game is very, very rough right now. And it really reminds me, like I said, my first game that I launched back in 2017 with Rock and Roll. My game back then was very rough as well, and you can go back and try it yourself. If you look at the forums on Rock and Roll, if you play that game, you can go and you can put in. You'll see the forums give you a code that you can go in and you can put the game way back in like the development state of the game before I even launched it, and then you can also put in another code. I think it's called launch day code or whatever. You can put that code in. It's in the forums for my game Rock and Roll, and you can put that in, and you can see what my game was like the day I launched it, and then take the code out, and it tells you how to do it on the forums, and you'll see how far my game has come since I launched it myself. So hopefully the developer will, hear me out here, maybe take some of my feedback and suggestions to heart, and keep working on his game. I hope that he doesn't stop right here, because this game could definitely use some improvement, and I think there's a lot of things you could do with this game to make it better. So this has been Zack79. Be sure you tell me what you think down in the comments over on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video, everybody. Take care.